So you started an anonymous Twitter account, and that was originally how you vented and commented on this stuff.
Anti-PC NYU Prof.
Okay.
And I started tweeting criticism of all this.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah.
What was it? I'm just curious. Was it like your take on the country as a whole, or was it like specific? Like today on campus, I saw this.
Yeah, the stories were pouring in from all over the country about all this. Like the safe spaces, the bias reporting hotlines, which if your listeners don't know, it's like when they actually set up these hotlines, and now they're in like 260 universities, where you can report somebody's bias infraction to this bias response team, and they adjudicate these infractions behind closed doors, and who knows what happens. But so it's kind of like a stop.
Well, I'm sure there's a fair and equitable hearing, right?
Oh yeah, it's crazy. So to me, it made the whole place like the chilling effect was ridiculous.
Right, right.
They're advertising this all over the place, and they never even once defined any of the terms like bias infraction, microaggression. I mean, they just said there's this bias hotline. If you spot a bias, call this line or email this thing. And soon enough, they were creating apps in different universities where at Harvard, you just open your phone, click on the app, and report the bias, and there you go. So I thought this stuff was, and of course, the no platforming, like the driving speakers out. I was just criticizing all this stuff.
Okay.
And the Halloween costume business where.
Sure, right. Appropriation.
You could change your gender. Wait a minute. Let me get this straight. You can change your gender from here between now and tomorrow, and you got to be called that in the classroom. But you can't wear a Halloween costume for one night. So you change your identity entirely, but you can't wear a Halloween costume that might offend somebody. So it just all the craziness, and they were taking down like dioramas with gorillas because they were too masculinist, and this was just beginning in 2016. Now, at this point, it's off the rails.
Sure. So again, I know you've had to tell the story several times, so I'll keep it short here, but just for the listeners who don't know the background. So then a student somehow tracked you down?
I create this Twitter account.
Right.
This student reporter tracks me down, says, "Are you really?" I was anonymous at this point. "Are you really an NYU prof?" I said, "Yes." "Oh, this is interesting. Do you want to be interviewed?" And I said, "I'll talk to you. I'm not sure I'll go on the record." And I talked to her. I thought what I said was fine. I may have dropped an F-bomb here and there. But otherwise, what I said was actually I was still talking from the left.
Right.
I was still criticizing like all this from a Marxist standpoint. And I was saying like it divides the working class. It's about identity these identities are no politics to organize around. It's craziness and things like that.
Well, that's interesting. So like that if you could spend a moment on that, so that we along the lines of how are, white and black and homosexual and heterosexual workers all supposed to rise up against their common enemy, the capitalists?
Right.
They want us divided like this.
Especially when you're dividing them against each other.
Right.
And privileging some, and then, basically demonizing others. A lot of demonization, just, like the inexpiable original sin of whiteness, the one you can't, there's no redemption for,
right.
That you're doomed for life. So yeah, things like that. And I even said in the interview, I'm a communist. So I'm saying all this as a communist. That didn't help.
Right.
So within 2 days, I was called into the dean's office.
Because just so you had gone in thinking you might be anonymous, but then you told her, go ahead and publish my name.
I let her publish it, with my name. And she shot a picture up. She had a photo of me, and I was laughing in the picture. Which was really a double heresy. I was like, I was just scoffing at them, right?
Right.
And so I ran, and within 2 days of that interview running, I was in the dean's office with the head of human resources, and they were strong-arming me to take a leave of absence. And then while I was in that interview, I didn't know this, but there was also a letter from a committee published, an open letter denouncing me, in which they called me guilty for my thoughts, literally.
Yeah.
So I was, accused of wrong thing, and the dean tried to accuse me of being insane. Like, you must, you need a break. This
Right.
is, people are worried about you and things like this.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm worried about them, frankly.
Right. Can I ask you, how long had you been doing that account, and running it anonymously before the reporter
like a
tracked
couple
you
months,
down?
maybe, maybe even, a couple, like it was, this came out in October. So it was like maybe a month and maybe 5 weeks roughly.
Do you know, was the account per se that big a deal? Did you hear people talking about it?
After the interview, it became a big deal, and they started, how they do, they go riffling through your tweets.
Right. Okay.
And finding some egregious thing. One tweet was probably the furthest I pushed the envelope, just to be real open about it. I said that I can imagine, this was when Trump was emerging, as the leading candidate. In fact, he was nominated, and I said, imagine the social justice warriors in their dormitories ready to jump out the window. And I said, let's only hope. And that was used as a endorsement of suicide.
Right.
And it was totally a joke. I had no student followers at this time. They pointed out the tweet to the students. They never would have seen it without them pointing it out.
Right.
So they were more guilty of encouraging suicide than I was.
Right. Yeah.
I was making a joke.
Yeah. Okay.
Anybody would know
and
that.
ask, and for the listener to get a flavor of. So that was like the most provocative thing you did. So
right.
that, yeah, okay. And so then, what was interesting is they didn't like fire you or
No, they didn't fire me, and I was up for promotion to full professor at this time, and the whole thing rested on these administrators. Despite they had a committee formed to evaluate the candidates, but I had no idea what was going on. It was 6 months in waiting. And I got the impression that if I didn't take the leave of absence, not only might I lose my chances to be promoted to full professor, I might lose my job.
Right.
So the leave was I was really strongly pressured into taking it. Totally their idea. They came up with this idea, we'll get them off campus like this.
Right. Just kind of let things cool off and
something like that.
So then you did come back then, and you were not welcomed with open arms.
No, I was shunned by 100 faculty members.
And I want to stress this because people hear that and they think it might mean one thing. Is it literally true that they wouldn't get on an elevator with you?
Yes. Wouldn't get on an elevator, wouldn't let me on it with them either.
No, I hadn't heard that part. What does that mean? The door's open and you went to step in?
Here. Do not come in here. You'll violate my personal space if you come in here.
Really?
I will report you if you come in here. Yes. So, they tried to, they just made me a total pariah. They acted like I was some sort of in danger to their well-being.
Right, like you had a communicable disease or something.
Right.
So that is more information, because what I was going to ask you back when I assumed what it meant was if they saw you on the elevator, they were like, yeah, I'll catch the next one. Thanks.
No. I was
what I thought it was just that somebody would be afraid to be seen with you because then people might think
me to get on the elevator.
I see. Okay.
And then they moved my office to the Russian department. After this, I was assailed in this email list, official email list, where they called me every name you can imagine. Nazi, alt-right, racist, sexist, white, short pants, white devil, all kind of crazy shit, all in capital letters, screaming. And I never responded in kind at all. I just said, this is typical for the mob,
right?
And things like that, to mob on, blah blah blah. I mean, so instead of chastising or punishing those people that did this, they moved me to the Russian department in, I call it my personal gulag.
Right.
Because they put me in this room with metal shelves and no books. They wouldn't move my books.
Yeah, that's something I read in the book that I hadn't heard in previous. So your original office, you have all your books there. They relocate you.
There was a lot of books, and
Right.
I couldn't carry them. It was like a mile. This NYU is very spread out, as you know.
Right.
The other office was like a mile away. I couldn't get them over there.
Right. So normally they'd put in a work order, and some guys would come and box it up and move it over.
Yeah, box it up, bring it over. Not only that, I had no support staff, no secretarial staff, no copier machine, nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I use a copier, but I mean, I might have.
Right.
It's a basic total isolation. They were trying to totally isolate me on campus.